Welcome to our December 2nd Tuesday seminar, and we're rolling out our new packaging inspector. My name's Dave Hunter, and I thought I'd say something about myself before we start every Tuesday, just if you don't know me. Um, Back in the day, back in ColorSync was being developed, we're talking mid 90s. I was contracted with Apple to help them develop ColorSync and build the ColorSync technology into the Apple operating system. This is even before really ICC profiles were standardized. So, been doing this a long time, and I remember, I remember the first time we built some profiles, and it would take literally 48 hours 48 hours. And we'd be talking, one day this is going to be an hour. Now, now it's minutes. So computing power has certainly changed over the last few years. And with our new packaging inspector, it's really taken advantage of computing power. But before we get into packaging inspector, as always, I'm going to go through some recent ChromaChecker improvements. For those of you who are not using ChromaChecker yet, we've added a new Getting Started page. It's right off the home page, up at the top tab. It's called Getting Started. And we give you three paths to get started. One is if you already have data, like if you've done a G7 um, submission, or you're looking at doing a G7 submission, or you've measured a proof. If you have any type of measurement data sitting around at your fingertips, you can automatically load it into path number one. And if you choose Grackle, it'll tell you the E factor of how close your printing device is to Grackle. You can load up to 4 files at a time. They could be from the same printer over time, and you'll see the trend of how much that printer is drifting over time. And you can compare each of these four measurements to one another to see what the actual E factor difference is. Or you could do, and you could do an additional four printers. It'll tell you how close each of the printers are to Grackle as well as to one another when you do the compare. So a lot of flexibility in this upload to really give you an idea of how ChromaChecker helps you understand how all your printers are performing, and not only to the reference, but to one another. Path number two is if you have your own instrument, like one of the 15 instruments we support, whether it's an Exact or a Color Monkey or a i1, you can download Capture on either Windows or Mac and start working with it and measuring your own proofing bar or a P2P target and see firsthand how easy it is to use ChromaChecker. And then path number three is building your own account. You don't need to pay for anything. You just set up your own ChromaChecker account so you have the full experience of the ChromaChecker ecosystem, and you can take advantage of some demo projects, which are like templates to help you assess how close is your printer to Grackle. How can you take a packaging situation? This is one of the projects. I'll actually demonstrate this project today of a pasta box, and we're going to see how all these colors match the pasta standards. So all these things are quite accessible within ChromaChecker. Something else we've added new are ChromaChecker labels. So on the welcome page, which you see on the screen on the lower left-hand corner, you'll see a new tab called ChromaChecker labels. They come in three sizes. When you click on the label, it shows you the three sizes. And these are labels that you can print out and you can put on your proofer. Like you'll notice my Epson in the bottom right corner. That's my Epson. And I use this label, and I can put the E factor is less than 3 because that's how I keep my Epson. Um, I also have one on my light booth. I also have it on my instrument. So one of the smaller labels is on my instrument, all my instruments. And this is a way that you can really show the company that your company is quality mindset. So when customers come in and they see ChromaChecked, 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 they know that you're using a tool that is assessing the variation and the accuracy of all your devices. And this is really powerful for salespeople and for customers to see that you're doing this. It's also great for management because ChromaChecker can kind of be a little bit invisible and it checks when the printer's making waste and non-sellable product, which costs your company money. So keeping these labels along with our pins, which you see I have a pin on if you visited us during the Printing United show, hopefully we gave you some pins for your organization. And if you come to our color conference, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute, you'll get your pins there as well. But these pins allow you to, again, broadcast that you're chroma checking all of your manufacturing variables. And it really becomes a strong selling point for why a company should do business with you. I want to again stress we have a sales directory within ChromaChecker. So this allows brands to find you. More and more, we're getting brands to sign up with ChromaChecker, and brands are always asking us, hey, we need to produce this job at 10 different locations through the country. Who do you have in the Southeast or the Northwest who's using ChromaChecker and can hit the E factor expectations that we're looking for on the type of printing equipment they're looking for? Well, here's your ability to register your company with the printer sales directory, and these brands will be able to find you. We've also added the ability to share jobs with other printing service providers, PSPs. So you'll notice again on our welcome page, we have invite printer service provider. And currently, we're saying it's an unlimited license, meaning that if you own ChromaChecker and let's say a printer either down the street or 5,000 miles away from you is going to be manufacturing a job that's compatible with what you guys are doing, meaning they have equipment that you might not have, but what you print on your equipment needs to match what's on their equipment. You can invite the service provider to use ChromaChecker when they're doing this job for you, and it will report back to you how well they manufactured the job to ensure that the tolerances are in line with your internal tolerances. So they don't need to pay anything to access this, at least when they're doing the job for you. As long as they're doing the job for you and it's tied up in this project that you've built, there's no cost on their side. So again, we're trying to evangelize the fact that checking quality is a non you have to do it. There's no reason not to do it, and this ensures color is communicated and matching properly. Now, I want to re-emphasize our color conference, our color quality conference that's coming up in Newport Richey, Florida, February 3rd through the 5th. So we're less than 2 months away. We've got 3 days, two parallel sessions, 4 tracks with some top speakers in the world. We've got Andy Kroschauer from, he's the head of the ISO 12647-2 committee coming talking about the new universal data set. This is what's going to be the next Grackle. I don't think we're actually going to call it Grackle because Europe doesn't know what Grackle is. And this is going to be one data set for both the ISO standard and the ID Alliance Grackle standard. It's going to be one data set, so we've got to name it so it's universal, so everybody understands what it is. And it's in beta testing now. We've actually got a number of users of ChromaChecker the using this uh, profile. It's actually up on our public ICC profile directory, so you can access it and you can test it and work with it. We also have Dr. Karen Despande coming, talking about packaging, and we have Kim Madigan and Joe Tucito, two of the top flexo experts in the U.S. are helping us with our whole packaging track. So I hope you can join us. We are doing a sunset boat trip, and it's got limited seats. Once the first, essentially the first 50 people get seats on the boat. After that, you'll have to find something else to do on that Wednesday night. So let's get into our packaging inspector. We've been teasing it for a number of months. It's been in beta for a number of months, and now we're releasing it. We guarantee faster approvals, fewer reprints, and zero surprises. It's the first solution built specifically to get packaging teams matching color anywhere in the world with dynamic updates, meaning if after the fact someone changes the tolerance on a Mars red color, uh, you can set that up in ChromaChecker and it will alert, let's say, all 50 print service providers that you've published this out to, that the Mars red tolerance is going to change from, let's say, 3 to 2.5 at the beginning of the year. And then at the beginning of the year, an email goes out saying, hey, we're doing it. It's flip a switch in the ChromaChecker server. And next time Mars red is measured after the first of the year, it'll use the new tolerances, all automatic. The PSP doesn't have to do anything. It's all done centrally. So it's very easy for brands to create print condition requirements, which include substrates, spot colors, extended color gamut references, and tolerances for all the variables. PSPs easily receive this print condition requirement, and it automatically configures the report to show the results. And it helps operators match color very quickly. And you'll see me demonstrate this in a few minutes. So the problem, packaging is still unpredictable. Um, it's and it's partly due to unclear or subjective buyer expectations. Every buyer has a different expectation of how close colors have to be in order to be acceptable. And if you're working with Betty one day, and you know Betty's expectations are this, and then you're working with John the next day, and John's expectations are this, it's unfair to you as a printer to have the expectations change based on which person is judging it. With ChromaChecker, you eliminate that altogether because Betty and John will decide that, hey, our expectations for our company are 3 or 4 E factor or whatever it may be, which is a type of delta E if you're not familiar with this. The higher the number, the larger the difference can be. The lower the number, the smaller the difference. But when they say, okay, we need this job to be a 3, you, having ChromaChecker, know which printers are capable of manufacturing a 3, not only to the reference, but more importantly to one another, because ChromaChecker is checking the printer to printer color variation. It's checking the substrate. It's checking instrument to instrument. There are certain instruments you should not mix and match, meaning you should not build a profile with certain instruments and then try to verify against that profile with other instruments. You'll never get the color to match to a 3 E factor. But you've got ChromaChecker, you know that. And this will reduce approval cycles and eliminate costly reprints and waste. So color shouldn't be a guessing game, but the industry still treats it like one. The breakthrough is our packaging inspector. It delivers clarity, confidence, and predictability. Number one, it defines expectations objectively. You say what your E factor is, and if it's in that, it's great. If not, it's a fail. You also have the ability to set individual tolerances using delta E for given spot colors. So my pasta red needs to be that pasta red. The pasta blue needs to be that. That's in addition to the overall look of the page or the appearance of the page, which E-Factor is looking at. And as a printer, you verify your print capabilities ahead of production. So you know that you can create that blue spot color on the digital press, that the gamut is within the capability of your printer, or that you're ink mixing the color on your flexo press. So when it goes on the press, you know that color is going to be right to begin with. And with Packaging Inspector monitoring and sharing the results in real time, it catches issues immediately. No surprises, no drama. And it aligns across all printers, sites, substrates, partners, everywhere that this job is being manufactured. So the impact is more profitable and a predictable workflow. Everybody likes predictive results. So teams using Packaging Inspector achieve faster approvals, faster reprints without waste, consistent color across all devices, and trusted defensible process. And we've got a number of companies that have helped us develop this Packaging Inspector. Companies that were using ColorCert, companies that were using Measure Color, companies that were using Mellow Color. And these companies said, hey, I like this the way this other company did it, but it'd be better if you did it this way. So our Packaging Inspector is, we're not the first, but we've taken, I think, the best of all the other products that are on the market and come out with a tool that's very exciting. So to see it in action, we're going to give you a real-time demonstration from an operator perspective. Um, Understand that you can load job information in from the MIS system. So if you keep track of, for let's say this pasta box, this ink sequence has to be KMCY, spot one, spot two, spot three. You know what the analogs, IDs, and volumes are for the different inks. You know what the tape is for the different layers or the different stations. You know, the solvent ratio, the ink. All of this information can be ingested from the MIS system as an XML file. The control strip we're using here is a process control strip, what we call a minimum G7. So it'll give us G7 conformance in a minimum number of patches and 3 spot colors. And these spot colors can be substituted um, depending upon the type of work you're doing. For the pasta box, we're using the spaghetti red or the pasta red, the pasta blue, and the pasta gray. And in addition to just measuring color, we can measure special effects. If this were printed on foil using a spherical, we can measure the level of gloss and we can measure the level of opacity, which if you're printing white ink, like if this pasta box is on a CRB, a consumer recycle board, i.e. gray cardboard, and you're printing a white ink on top of it, we can measure the opacity of that white ink as a qualifying metric in terms of hitting a certain level of opacity for it to be approved and passed based on the visual appearance that that color is going to have. So these are some unique capabilities that our Packaging Inspector brings to the market. And you'll see in my demonstration that I'm going to start by doing a strip, but you can flip to spot mode to dial in to try to fix a color very quickly and easily. So with that, I am just going to flip right into our capture tool. And I'm in the normal capture login. And by the way, this is it's a it's a new tool in Capture. And you can set it as your starting tool, which I've done. And when I hit next, oh, look at that. Let's make sure I'm logged into the right place here. So actually, I didn't set it up as my starting tool. I can do that, but you'll see in my icon list here over on the left, I have my Packaging Inspector. And when I click on that, it brings me to my ability to choose the project. And the project that I'm working with here is my process plus name colors. This is a template which we built as a project, which you can use and adapt. So if you wanted to take this project and change it to your three spot colors that you care about, you can do that. Or if there's only two or one, you can do that as well. And all of this information is all, if you will, preset. So we've got the ink sequence here for the different stations, the different printing units, the ink viscosity, the analox, the volume. And we have an analox inspector now in ChromaChecker, which helps you keep track of all this information, and it will link to this as well. We have solvent ratios, pressures, tape, and doctor blades. So in this way, you can customize this based on how this fingerprint was set up so that it can be reproduced easily at any point. You'll notice also up on top, SCCA is being allowed to be on. Print side is surface as opposed to a reverse print or a backside print, M condition. And now I know this is all right. I'm just going to hit start measurements. So in start measurements, I'm going to, this is where I left off with working with the red. I'm going to say, let's do a new measurement, and we're going to make it make ready. So I can set it up as make ready or production. This is the first time off the press, so I'm going to say we're doing make ready. It's on the gear side or the left side of the press. So I'm telling it it's on the left side of the press. You'll see it up on the top. So with ChromaChecker, you can actually measure left side, center, and right side, and ChromaChecker will tell you what the difference is between the different conditions. We're done. Up comes the data, and we see that our substrate is off by 5.1, which it's a pretty far amount off, and it's saying before SCCA it's a 5.1 delta E, which SCCA may not work as intended. SCCA, substrate corrected color aim, is built to accommodate substrates up to about 5. After that, it's kind of, it might work, might not work. But in this case, we're using the material we were asked to use, so we have to live with it. We could see that our cyan is off by 4.7 delta E. And if we increase it by 31 points of density, we'll get it within an acceptable range into this green box. But what we really need to concern ourselves with is messaging in this third row down below. Here it's saying our pasta red box is off by 5.4, and we could increase the ink concentration. Now, if I click on this color, so I'm just going to click right on this color in the interface, it brings us to a whole nother view of this ink. And it shows us a couple views. It shows us the ink trajectory with our LAB, our lightness here, our density here. So we're at about a density of a 1.572. But if I increase my density to 1.86, my delta E will go from a 5.4 to a 2.8. See the 2.8 there. So by increasing my density 26 points, I can get it within the 3.5 delta E that's warranted. Now, most companies might not want to run to a 1.84 density, and that's why the software was instructing us we should increase the ink concentration. If you remember, in the first screen, back in the setup screen here, if I flip to this quick, you'll see that the pasta box red is an 89% solvent ratio. That means we have the ability to add more pigment ink into that solvent ratio, which will make the ink stronger, which will allow us to hit the color without having to go to a 1.8 density. So that's why ChromaChecker is saying increase ink concentration here. So very sophisticated hint to the operator of what they need to do to fix this. Now over here in the gray, you'll see it's also erroring, but it's a different error. It's saying we recommend an ink formulation export, which means if I click on this, you'll see the ink parafarb, the ink prediction says, no matter what density, you're not getting any closer than 7 delta E to the spot color, and you need to be down at a 3.5. So you're way off. You're 3.5 delta E out of spec. So you need to do a new ink formulation. So with this button here, I can click on it and it automatically exports the CXF file to my disk that I can then send to the ink room and they can reformulate this ink for my Flexo press so that we can get it loaded onto Unit 7 and get this job printing again so that I can get this color where I need to be. Now, let's say we're working along and I just want to work on the red. So I'm going to hit New and I'm going to go to spot mode. So we were in scan mode, but now I've just flipped to spot mode and I'm going to measure the paper white. So we're going to take our instrument out. And that's one thing about in the spot mode, you just need to reinforce what the paper white is that we're working with. And now I'm going to write to the red of the color that's in question here. I'm not telling it on the screen what color I'm measuring. I'm just measuring the red. And notice it knew I'm measuring the red. And it says, oh, you're at 4.4 off now. We need to get it down to 3.5 so I could continue to work on this. So let's say just for experimentation purposes, I'll click another place uh, on this page and measure it again. And let's just take a different version red. This is going to be way off, but let's just do this one, see what it does. So it's going to go 4.4, and now it's actually thinking this. I I took a red from a totally different sheet and it's going, yeah, this isn't the spot color red. This is a red overprint. And so you see my red overprint made up of 100% magenta and 100% yellow was filled in here. And it's saying, well, that's off too. That's off by 5.2. So the beauty of this packaging inspector is you can go ahead and focus just on the colors that are wrong. And then when you get the colors right, you can go back into scan mode and read the strip in its entirety. And if and when it passes, you can then move to production. And the default in ChromaChecker is it'll only send the brand company production data. So once it's passing and it's in production mode, that data will go to the brand. And just to reemphasize, if you own ChromaChecker, you can prevent non-passing data from being sent to anyone else. If you don't own ChromaChecker, if you're using ChromaChecker on behalf of the brand or another printer that asks you to use ChromaChecker on their behalf, then whether the print passes or fails, the data is going to that other company. So, because they own the data, because they own the ChromaChecker. If you own your own version of ChromaChecker, then you can control what goes to that other company. So this becomes very useful for an operator to go through and check colors, make sure they're right before you start production, and make sure they're right before you submit to the client. If I click on the side to side tab down here, you'll see that it will compare measurements from left side to right side, depending upon the last time I did it. And it'll tell you what the delta E's are from the reference for all the colors on the left side and right side. So this is very handy when you're just making sure you're balanced across the sheet. And then, of course, we have a timeline view here. And this is the timeline view on the red. And you can see in history, we've been struggling with that red every time we've measured it. The best we've kind of gotten is 4.5. And that's just because I haven't taken the time to um, get a better match on this red in as part of this demonstration. But it is very helpful to see whether or not this color has been a trouble color or not. And we're looking at it from the red standpoint. But if I go back to the control strip and I go to the previous control strip where, let's say, everything was measured. So here we are with the control strip with all the patches. If I go to timeline on this, Now it shows me all the colors in the timeline, and again shows me which colors I have had troubles with and which colors have been working quite well for me. So you can see the gray up here is that posted gray, which is up in the 7 delta E range of where it needs to be. So there's a number of other tools here, including the ability to check opacity, which I talked to related to printed white, especially printed white on like a clear material. This becomes very handy. And if I click on that, you place your printout on a black backing and measure the substrate. So if you're using one of our ChromaChecker ISO white black backers. This is ISO compliant white and ISO compliant black. This allows you to check the opacity of the white ink on your print. And of course, we can make a PDF of the report if we want something that's printable or shareable with an email. But if you're doing it for the customer who owns ChromaChecker, you don't need to do that because they're automatically getting the data on their side in real time on the fly. So with that, I hope that gives you a nice overview of some of the key capabilities of our new packaging inspector. I appreciate you guys sitting through this. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email us. And if you want to use this, we're allowing our users and even people who aren't our users, if you sign up for a trial and you want to use Packaging Inspector, we'll activate this on your account for free so you can start experimenting with it and see how powerful and useful it is. So that goes for new users and old users alike. We're allowing you to test this, work with it, give us feedback, tell us what you think, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. We've had, like I said, a number of beta users that had been using other packaging tools, and they've all come back to us and said, "This is fantastic. This helps our operators get to color much faster than ever before, and it's very flexible, very easy to use, very easy to communicate." So we're very excited, and I hope you take us up on this offer. And just to show you where this offer is, if you go to dashboard and you see this get started and you come in here and you just sign up right here with your email address, we'll get you started. That's how easy it is. So thank you everyone for your time. Hope everyone has a great holiday season, and we'll look forward to seeing you again in January and hopefully February at our color conference. And please follow us on LinkedIn. That'd be great. Thank you.